Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Icon. Thanks so much for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis. Today, I wanted to take just a moment to break down this matchup between Chicago and Atlanta. I know that we've broken down quite a few scrims in the past, but the long-awaited matchup in actual CDL league play, we finally got to see it over the weekend. So, this probably didn't go as most people would have expected it to go. At least, even if you would have had Chicago winning this, you would have figured that Atlanta would have won at least one map, maybe even the Search and Destroy. So this went on the Hardpoint. Probably didn't surprise too many people because Chicago has been playing super well in Hardpoint as of late ever since the meta change. But I figured we would go ahead, we would break this one down, really show you how Chicago took a lead, what they did right, what Atlanta probably should have done a little bit better. And let's go ahead without further ado and get into the analysis here. So as we're watching this one, obviously Atlanta's doing a pretty good job inside of P1. They're able to get 30 points out of that first 60 seconds, and they're probably going to get the last 5 or so also. But most important thing, and Chicago did a really great job, basically the entire weekend on Hackney Yard, of holding down P2. Now, where Chicago struggled was when they played New York. New York really didn't allow them to get out of P2. And I broke that down live on stream at twitch.tv/IconNationYT. We broke that down and really in detail explained what was happening there. But in this one, Chicago did a really nice job, even though you would have liked to have seen them stop this push from Atlanta out a little bit further, right? Most of the time, you're trying to get as many kills as you can out towards mid-map. Getting those kills out towards mid-map takes the pressure off of whoever is inside the hard point. And even though this is P2, we all know what kind of time you can add up in terms of P2. It's the easiest statistical hard point to defend. But what I'm really watching as we look at the minimap here in the bottom left-hand corner is, as I was paying attention to this, I was really noticing that Chicago did a much better job in this matchup, like we talked about earlier, of breaking out after P2. So they're inside of P2, ARCITYS is in the hill, and down here you can see Envoy, Scump, and Pristini, all three of them are going to start working out towards P1. This is what they couldn't do when they matched up with New York. New York just set up, they didn't allow them to get out. They really, and that's part of the advantage to this new 3AR meta, is that if you get set up, it's really easy. Like, say if you have somebody top window over here in top green, it's really easy to get this length of kill with an AR, whereas if you're like Scump or Envoy and you have an SMG, you really can't do anything about that. So it comes down to your ARs being able to capitalize and get kills off of those headies, which then allows your team to get out. So as we're watching this here, just kind of pay attention to the process and the progress that they get down towards the bottom side of the map, because that is what allows them to get out, start to contest inside of P3, and eventually what they're looking to do is get to back yellow so that they can flip spawns and have spawns for P5. So like right here, ARCITYS gets a kill, Envoy gets a kill, Formal gets a pick on Celium as he was on that top L heady, and right here they're already into L, right? So it's already much better. Envoy with another kill inside the hill right there on SIMP. And as half the time has come off of P3, now nobody's getting that time inside of P3, so they're maintaining their 20-point lead, or at least they were. But you can see as the spawns come in, as we look at the minimap right here, look at the white arrows in the bottom of the screen. They're all spawning inside of P1. And the only thing that does is, sure, they're not getting the time inside of P3, and they're not quite set up inside of P4 yet, but it is going to allow them eventually to push through and flip those spawns and get those back spawns for P5, and that's the most important thing. So Scump with the 2-piece there, Formal and ARCITYS also come through with kills. So at this point in time, they have 3 inside the hard point, so they did a nice job of securing the time inside of P4. They're just going to be building on top of their lead. The next thing you're going to want to see is how do they transition from getting the time inside of P4 and transition towards flipping those spawns for P5. So right now, this is set up relatively nicely if you're Atlanta, but the issue is that they don't have anybody watching the top side of the map. ARCITYS with the 2-piece, Formal with the 2-piece there, which is basically going to secure that last, it's going to guarantee that last 20 seconds inside of P4, and now you're going to start to see the push towards the top of the map, because Chicago doesn't have any numbers down towards the bottom of the map, and Major Maniac is holding that down, right? As we look at the mini-map real quick, just notice the red number 1 on the bottom of the screen. This is being totally cut off by their main AR. Now, if Chicago wanted to push this, could they get him off there? Absolutely. I mean, who knows? That's still a tough gun battle to end up winning there. But by him being down here, that's basically taking away this spawn over here for Chicago, right? They can't spawn there anymore because Major Maniac's on that side. And with that, everybody from Chicago was still inside the P4 hardpoint. So as they leave P4, their only real option is to push through Blue Van up here, which is what you're seeing on screen from Scump right here as we're watching him. And the other thing that they can do is jump up top heaven. And then once they get on top, then they could ultimately maybe get inside P5 from up top. So that's kind of the process. If you're Chicago, you might have wanted to see a little bit more of an emphasis towards trying to flip those spawns, because even if you give up the last 15 seconds or so, you're still going to have a lead after P4, and then you could really capitalize and get 30 or 40 seconds inside of the P5 hardpoint. But all they did is they just won the gun battles at the top of the map. They just bullied their way through. As that happened, now they're getting the bottom spawn, and they're going to try to push their way in. So Envoy with the kill there, ARCITYS also with a kill. And right now it's contested, and if you're Chicago, this is a win, right? Because after the first set of rotations, you're going to end up having a lead. It's just at this point in time, how much of a lead are you going to have? And as I'm watching this, look at the battle that's going on the right side of the map. They just switched to ABEZY right here. ABEZY and ARCITYS are fighting over towards P2. Because after these 25 seconds come off the clock, the next most important thing is who's going to have these right side of the hill spawns over here as we get into the second set of rotations. Again, it looks like, as you can see right here, we're on board with ABEZY, and he's about to shoot ARCITYS in the back. So if you're Atlanta, now you have the opportunity to really get back in this thing, because, again, ABEZY is going to capitalize, going to get this kill. There is going to be a push towards the top side of the map by, it looked like, Scump and Formal maybe. So now we'll see if the strategy changes a little bit, right? If you're Chicago, do you want to go ahead and try to put all your eggs in one basket trying to flip for P2, or do you want to fight towards P1 as it gets into the second set of rotations here, right? If you go back into P1, you've already got an 80-point lead. So if you get 30 seconds inside of P1, it doesn't even really matter if you give up a ton of time inside of P2. So if I was coaching a squad, that's probably what I would suggest for them to do. Just go ahead, try to get 30, 35, 40 points inside of P1 as they're doing right now, right? There's 38 seconds left on the P1 hardpoint. So let's just do what we can to get that time. And as we're watching this, look at the minimap. Look at number 7 on the top side of the map. That's ARCITYS again, pushing up top. They did get those spawns. The spawns come through. You can see everybody come up off spawns, and that all happened because if you're Atlanta, you can't give up those last 40 seconds inside of P1. So what do? You commit too many resources inside to P1. ARCITYS hits a flank. His squad spawns on top of him, and now they've already got a 60-point lead, and it's just going to get worse because they've done a really nice job of holding down P2 once they have those initial spawns. So really not, we can talk about the slaying and stuff and whatnot, right? Envoy and ARCITYS really played super well in this matchup in particular, but the other part of it is just the savviness from players like ARCITYS. We see Pristini do it a lot, them being able to get through, flip the map, have their squad spawn on them, and then capitalize once it comes through. So that's really what you're seeing here. Nice 2-piece there from SIMP being able to take down Scump and Envoy, but those P2 spawns are so close that it's just not going to be enough, right? ABEZY is trying to stop the time here, so that's a nice job out of him there, at least securing a few seconds, right? 6 or so seconds came off, so that will end up helping you when it comes down to like the end game score. but it just really isn't enough. So now we're back into this same scenario that we started with, but it's even a little bit better for Chicago because they're already inside of P1. As they bring up the minimap here, I absolutely love when they bring up the large minimap like this. So if you're Chicago, what are you trying to push here? It looks like Formal got a kill up towards the top. It did get traded out by Pristini. So at this point in time, it's not so much the bottom alley that's open, it's the top side of the map. As you look at the minimap right here, you can see it. Look what's already happening. We just talked about how as it was flipping over to P2, ARCITYS finessed towards the top side of the map, which ended up earning them those spawns for P2. Now as P2 comes to a close, all that's happened is they've just pushed up top, and you can see, look at where Pristini's already at. He's already pushed out back P5 by Blue Van. You would like to see him get a little bit further and maybe get these bottom yellow spawns, but at this point in time, you're up by 90 points or so. So just relax. If you just sit back there, there's no harm done, right? Even if you give up 40 points inside of P3, it really doesn't matter all that much. And you can see, as you look at the minimap, ARCITYS is just going to relax, or Pristini is just going to chill back there, right? He's just going to try to get killed. He did get a kill on Priest right there, which means now everybody from Atlanta knows where he's at. So it wasn't quite enough to block those back spawns. But if you're Chicago, what that did do, let's pause this and break that down real quick. So Pristini was here inside the top P5, and he got a kill towards the bottom of the map. As he got that kill, Atlanta got this top spawn. So essentially what that did is as those red arrows were coming up off of spawn, they had to rotate back to try to kill Pristini. And as they rotated back, Chicago was able to push forward. Look at where the rest of Chicago is now, right? Before that move by Pristini, they were really struggling to get out of those P2 spawns. So Pristini was able to leak through, which took the pressure off of mid-map. And now with about 25 seconds left, there's only 14 seconds left right now, but Chicago has already been inside of the P3 hardpoint for all of that time. So did he flip spawns? No, but he took pressure off of mid-map, and he allowed his teammates to push up, get time inside of P3, and now the spawn flip comes through. This is the same thing that happened with P2. Why did the spawns flip? Because Atlanta had to try to contest inside of P1. What you're seeing right now is why did the spawns flip? Because Atlanta had to get inside of P4. So if you're Chicago, you don't have to worry so much about time inside of the hardpoint. As that's happening, as Atlanta's putting all that pressure inside the hardpoint, you can just worry about flipping spawns. So even if you give up the last 35 seconds here, you're still going to have a 60-point lead as it rotates back to P5. But right here, ARCITYS gets 2, Scum gets 1, Envoy gets 1, Pristini gets 1. They took over. They might need one more set of kills. ARCITYS comes out right here, gets another kill, and then that's all that it comes down to. They end up winning 250 to 160, and the biggest thing is they were able to get those spawns inside of P2 over and over again. And the biggest difference for me is that as it rotated from P2 to P3, they were able to actually get out against Atlanta, right? They were able to get those critical kills as it was rotating out. Whereas when they struggled against New York, they just couldn't get past that choke point, which allowed New York to get a ton of time inside of P3. They were able to contest inside of P4, and New York got all that time inside of P5, and that is not what happened here. So really nice job in this matchup from Chicago of just dominating the kill feed. ARCITYS and Envoy were the two biggest that ended up going off. Let's see if we can bring up the scoreboard right here just so you guys can see it before we head out. But as we look at this here, look at the scores on top. It wasn't even terrible, right? Priesta went 17 and 24. He hasn't been playing great as of late, but everybody else for Atlanta up here ended up doing pretty well. ABEZY was +1. SIMP was even. You'd probably like to see SIMP be a little bit better than that. Cellium was +2, and Major Maniac was +8 with that main AR role. And as we look down below, Formal 26 and 18. Envoy had 27 from that SMG position, and that's really big, right? Scum had a bad championship Sunday. He didn't really play well in either of these matchups, But for Envoy to be playing super fast in this 3AR meta and being able to continue to get those kills and put up almost a 30 bomb in a matchup like this, even though he wasn't 30 and 14 or something crazy like that, just being able to capitalize and secure those kills in this type of meta, it's really good for their team overall because it opens up so many lanes. So if you guys are new around here and you enjoy this sort of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I put out brand new videos covering the CDL every single day, so make sure you hit subscribe. You don't want to miss those. Any comments on this one? Were you surprised by this? Were you shocked by this? What do you think about Atlanta now? Do they drop a little bit in your power rankings? Any comments, put them down below. Make sure you leave a like before you head on the way. It really helps out the channel. And with that, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate all the support as of late. We will catch you in tomorrow's upload.